Hello, my name is Ethan, and welcome back to another episode of Path of Exile 2. In this episode, we're going to be going over the patch 0.1.1 rundown. So this is a pretty big patch. They did a live stream and went over, answering a ton of questions, and now I wanted to get right into this. Minions despawn if too far away from the player, right? That's how it works in the current game. If you get too far away, they despawn. Look at the bottom. Whoops. I had 14, so it goes down to 13. I got out of range, my thing despawns, I get a timer, 5 seconds. I have all the nodes of minions respawn faster, right? Now, after this patch of 0.1.1, minions will respawn instantly when despawned because of distance, not death. So instead of having to wait that timer, even with your faster, look at that gray delirious icon. So it even has the horns. So then the point though is this is huge, and you wouldn't need the minions respawn faster if they're not dying. So holy, it's almost like teleportation, but not because they still technically have to respawn, so they have the respawn animation, but it's a lot better than waiting the 5 seconds with the faster respawn even. Next, so 6 portals for the Arbiter of Ash. That's the Burning Monolith and the Ritual Boss. They said that the Ritual Boss might not be in for sure, but they planned for the big, expensive end-game pinnacle fights for you to be able to have more portals. And then they mentioned later that less portals at higher difficulties. So, don't expect 6 at difficulty 4. That's fair. It's to help people learn it and to get into it. So you could even lower it and then learn the mechanics. You have more portals, and for other characters, even for if you want to play more more stuff and try stuff out without the big loss of the fragments, and that's huge. It's really good for new players as well. And then they also mentioned, so this is to do with Arbiter of Ash, because you have to get the 3 fragments from the citadels. Citadels are highlighted now on the Atlas map, even in Fog of War. So you can see how it would be full, you don't see over here, but you can see a beam, and it's oh my god, the bat signal. Get to that citadel. Go, go, go. And that's citadels, so those are fragments. And then there's a thing that's not mentioned here, but basically it seems that the amount of fragments you get from the citadel bosses scales with the waystones found chance on your map. So we scaled up the modifier effect of the maps with the Atlas tree, and then you get really juicy maps with high waystone found chance, T15 plus, because obviously to run a citadel you need T15, and then that gives you 3, if you get 900 waystone found chance in your map after, with all the increased modifier effect, it gives you 3 fragments. If you get all the way up to 1200% waystones found, then we're getting 4 fragments. So that's huge for farming for the Arbiter of Ash, because imagine 3 citadels, you get 4 of each fragment, and now you could run 4 Arbiters of Ash instead of if you only got 1 fragment. And I figured I'll mention that because most people may not know that, actually. Yeah. Next, loot. Map loot buffed. Essence buffed. Strongbox is buffed. They're faster, less annoying fog, and changed the timing / effects of the mods. So I think that means when there was lightning storm, that you wouldn't just get absolutely destroyed by this lightning that's just targeting you, and it's so fast, and then the strongbox is so slow. So I'm sure it's that whole combination, you're just getting brutalized by these modifiers, and then the strong box doesn't finish. True. So then more rewarding, and then they buffed bad maps. So they said an example was augury with burning ground on the lever. So someone's pulling the lever and they're stuck in the animation, there's burning ground underneath. Or the adding more rares to under maps that just don't have as many monsters or something, or the map layout sucks and stuff. Yeah. Bring up underperforming maps, more rares, loot, etc. And other way, even changing some of the layouts they were mentioning. So many changes. More loot. The base stuff is buffed. And I put this in an order that I think matters more. So gear drops buffed. and technically crafting. So they said specifically that there's less bad mods on equipment gear. So they just culled a bunch of mods, which means you'll automatically, well, the drops will be better because there's less bad mods, but then also crafting because now the weighting, like when there's weights and there's chances and everything matters, then having less of the bad mods means there's less weight, and your the weight of the mods you have is worth more than put a boot to show you, like, yeah, equipment gear mode. And I think it was mostly talking about like equipment gear. Yeah, it could, I guess it could be like jewels and stuff too. They were just, yeah, ritual buffed. So 60% more omens from the ritual window. So I put Omen Awaiting, Sinistral Eraser, Dextral Eraser, Sinistral Annulment, and Dextral Annulment. Those are the expensive ones. And then if you've never found a good Omen, like the video. And if you like the video, subscribe. What was that? Where did that come from? Lost Tower rework. There's also, just to mention, that the Lost Tower in the campaign is called the Path of Mourning. And it was a like multi-layer, and so now this is like the upper layer, and we're gonna be getting that instead of the lower or something. And now like, look at how it still has some choke point, but then it has like more open areas, and where's the doors, and yeah, maybe less doors. So there's also 4 new tower maps, and the rework tower map. And then new tower maps include Alpine Ridge, Sinking Spire, Bluff, and Mesa. Wait, that's broken. Isn't that broken from PoE1, that tiny map? Boss in the middle, go. Finish the map in 15 seconds, right? Mesa? Oh no. Tower map now better visibility, more open, less tight bottlenecks, as you can see. Yeah, you can actually see because they don't have the walls blocking, and less doors, they said, like doorways. Map bosses. So there's more map bosses. Apparently we had less than intended, so now we're just going to be getting more up to what was intended. It did feel like there wasn't enough, but it's also because we had a boss every map in PoE1, and then here we have only where we get the map boss on the location. And then they also mentioned that apparently a lot of maps just can't spawn map bosses, so I think that even with this change, you're actually just going to start to realize that some of the maps don't have map bosses no matter how hard you try. You can try to add it and try to add it. There's no map boss, which that's weird, right? You actually run through some maps that don't have map bosses, can never get them, even if you try to add. Oh, sorry, this you're missing this part if you didn't know. New tablets too, for adding map bosses to maps through towers. So yeah, you can add map boss. I had the picture here. I forgot to mention first. So yeah, up to 7. Maybe is this the highest, or does it go up to 10? 10 maps, just like the other ones. You could roll it 5 to 10. You know. So then it says up to 7 as well. And it's probably because that it can't add map bosses to every map. So maybe it has a problem where it tries to add a map boss to a map that can't have a boss. So then it just wastes. Yeah, because it's like when you're actually zoomed out too, it's hard to tell like which ones actually got the league mechanics added, especially when you do 10. It's like, did I get all 10? Did it actually buff 10 maps? True. Well, at least these modifiers. Oh, there's new. This is new too. So quant from map bosses. There's mods for the map boss ones. But these mods apply to all the maps in the area. Not just the 10 maps affected or whatever. But then also this is only for map bosses. So again, yeah, if they can't get a map boss, then that doesn't do anything. Delirium / simulacrum. Simulacrum splinters drop rate buffed by 20%. So more simulacrum, cheaper. It's already under 2D. It keeps dropping. I've also noticed that simulacrum should have scaled up to 83 level, but it only scales to 82, so that last difficulty doesn't do anything. It only scales to difficulty 3 basically in levels, which is really weird. Like, why does everything keep capping at 82 when it could have scaled higher and it would have made sense, and then the XP would have been better? I don't know. It's kind of crazy. runes and soul cores. Finally, you can replace the rune and soul core in your gear sockets. You lose the old rune or soul core though. So they showed replacing the piece there with the armor one. They had 2 life runes, and then they replaced it with the armor evasion ES one. Atlas map can zoom out farther. So now you can maybe more easily see which maps get buffed up by the tablets when you do the towers. Which, like, imagine the person who has this and they're at the beginning of the thing and they skipped all these towers and they have all these maps. Yeah, it's kind of, they'd want to do those towers and buff up all the maps because of the other modifiers. It's not just the mechanics you added. They optimized visual clarity and gameplay and maps. The Ferretin Plague Bringer Detonate Dead can no longer off-screen you. This guy, he can no longer off-screen you with the DD. Ferretin Plague Bringer. Forsaken miners throw less grenades and have better visuals. This stuff was like lighting up way better. And it's this dude. And this dude's on like every map. I hate this shit. It was so hard to see the grenades. No more lost men, zealots, off-screen meteors. He's channeling up the meteor. You're dead! Meteor to the dome! Reminds me of you click your flask and you get meteored because you press the altar. PoE 1. Just of raining meteors because you're spamming your 5 and then you're not even spamming them with your hand. You have instilling orbs. They're just being spammed and meteors are just raining down. Volatile plants visuals made clear. So they showed this mod. This is really bright now. You could just put up your bloom as well. It helps to see a lot of the effects. But yeah, on some of the settings, it actually doesn't matter what I change my bloom to. It doesn't make some of the stuff brighter. That's the weird part. On the basic default settings, the bloom was working. It was really bright. You needed to turn it down. But on different settings, I don't know what I did, something about my Vulcan or whatever the other settings of turning down all the other stuff, then made the bloom way less bright. So that might be a part of... Then you have your own visual clarity problems from settings. Charm number of charges visually shown, and then you also get the duration at the top now. But yeah, this is showing like how many more full like uses, so not the specific charge number, because charges would be like out of 80. This is how many uses. So I put number of charges because that's what they said, but technically it's actually number of uses, which is your amount of charges used divided by the, or like the total divided by the uses, yeah, and it's how much you actually had, the current amount, I guess. Anyways, yeah, lots of changes. This patch is huge. I started it off with like obviously the one that's like the most impactful for us, where the minions all respawn instantly. Because yeah, that felt terrible to go into a room, you lose all your minions because of the distance, because they got stuck, and then you don't have minions for seconds. But yeah, we'll see how this works out. And then the change to the maps too, like the towers and the extra portals for the bosses is really cool for people. And then the buff to loot and the league mechanics and the omens and the strong. So now we just farm better. And then the gear is buff, so the gear we find is better, and the crafting will be better. And you get for more omens, which is what you need to keep to actually have deterministic crafting. So some of those tower maps look really weird, like Alpine Ridge. They're like these mazes, and then you climb up to just a high point, and it's they all have like these thin pathways. It seemed like kind of. We'll see how everything works out. It'll be neat to actually try them. It's cool you could add map bosses though, because the 2 coolest things to do right now for me were map bosses and ritual. And so being able to add these, well, having this buffed and then this, being able to add them specifically is really cool. And then yeah, being able to farm Simu for cheaper is nice for the points to then be able to get the Delirium Atlas tree. So then when you run Delirium Fog or run Delirium maps, they're juicier. Oh, that's really sick. Well, yeah, looking forward to this patch. They say later this week. My mate says it's probably Tuesday. They haven't put out the actual patch notes yet, but Yeah, it's because they're probably finalizing some of this stuff, like where they mentioned the ritual boss getting the 6 portals. Like some of this stuff wasn't finished, but they were already like trying to confirm it. Of like, look forward to that. Yeah, I hope that does happen though, because that would be cool for the people who don't have their ritual tree yet and have to do the King of the Mist, and then they have more chances at that. Would be kind of nice since it's so expensive, and then they get more omens basically and more of the boss again. Yeah. 60% more is huge though. And then it also sounds like with the change to the maps, um where they're juicier map changes where they buff the bad maps, adding more rares and change the layouts. There's a lot of chance that they changed how the ritual spawns, like where it spawns and how many monsters are in it. Maybe they just made it have better results because I don't know, some maps the ritual performed super bad, so maybe that was part of it too, of just like making the league mechanics do like perform a little bit better on the bad maps. So there's less bad maps. I don't know. Either way, I look forward to this patch, and this will be really fun to try out all these changes. And I think so many of them are so massive, make such a huge difference. And well, this is the one that you just need to really try and see, because there's, I guess, still the one situation where they're stuck and they're not far enough that they don't despawn, and then you don't get them to teleport, and that's the only situation I can think of that would still feel bad. But then they changed the map layout, so we'll have to see. Either way, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you guys enjoyed this patch 0.1.1 rundown. And I'll see you guys. Wait. Thanks to my Patreon and YouTube members who financially support the channel. Thanks to Rico, Joe, David, Hannah, Cynic, Salad, Austin, Alex, Johan, and Hate. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!